So go ahead, run your mouth about Kamala Harris, but at the end of the day, Donald Trump's still a lunatic, and the country doesn't want an unstable madman like that who doesn't even believe in America. He thinks we should terminate our Constitution. He had no problem trampling our democracy. I'm not letting that clown come in here and destroy this country.
Cenk Uygur was a guest on Piers Morgan's show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, to debate a group of right-wingers about the race between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. The other members of the panel were Anthony Scaramucci, Vincent Oshana from the Patrick Bet-David podcast, and journalist Emily Austin. As you can imagine, with Cenk Uygur against this group of people on Piers Morgan's show, things got pretty heated. There was some fun to be had here. We're going to take a look at clips of this panel from Piers Morgan Uncensored. I'll share my thoughts here and there. Let's check this out together.
There's a lot to call out about Kamala Harris and her campaign. In my view, the Trump campaign also has its problems. It's yet to regain its footing and confidence that it had when Biden was the nominee. Let's be clear, Trump destroyed Biden at that debate and was heading for an easy victory if Biden had stayed in the race. It's not quite so certain or easy now. But there's a cautionary note here for Democrats too. The last time Trump took on a woman who appeared to be surging in the polls, with the same George Clooney slamming him from a press conference at a movie festival, things didn't quite work out the way everyone expected. It may feel like it began 100 years ago, but the real race for the President of the United States begins now. Well, joining me now to debate all this, the Young Turks founder, Cenk Uygur, the former White House Communications Director, Anthony Scaramucci, broadcaster and journalist Emily Austin, and from the PBD podcast, the commentator and self-professed angry patriot, Vinny Oshana.
First, I have to laugh at this clown saluting. I mean, come on.
Shana, welcome to all of you. Wow, I've been away for 3 weeks or so. All hell as normal has broken loose because all hell breaks loose every week in this race. Anthony Scaramucci, great to have you on Uncensored. We've spoken many times over the last few years about all things American politics. You posted on October the 1st, don't be surprised if Donald Trump drops out of the race. Nearly 10 million people viewed that post. Do you stand by it? And if you do, will you accept a $1,000 bet from me right now that Trump isn't going to pull out?
Well, I'll bet you $1,000 on the election. I don't know if I'm going to bet on the pullout. I mean, he's got to drop more substantially in the polls. You know, he's down 6 with the likely voters. If she opens up a lead, 12 to 15 points, he's not going to want to lose to her. He's the worst presidential candidate for the Republicans since Herbert Hoover. He's lost the House, the Senate, and the presidency. I like her momentum. I understand all the issues that you're raising related to her, but unfortunately, there's only 2 choices. There's him and her. And I think I would implore people to read H.R. McMaster's book if they get a chance, because he's very honest and very objective about the insanity that is Donald Trump.
I mean, Anthony, if I'd asked you
$1,000 on the election, I got Kamala. You can take the orange man if you want.
We'll make it for charity.
I'm done on that.
We'll make it for charity. I'll take that bet. I still think Trump's going to win. I'm not an American citizen. I don't have a vote. I don't have a horse in the race. I just think reality is going to kick in.
Again, there's 2 choices in the race. I know I don't want to go back to what we had. I think it was a unmitigated disaster. He embarrassed me by supporting him. And he's actually an embarrassment on the world stage. And he doesn't even understand things like the nuclear triad. The guy is a walking disaster. And so I will take her over him. But you're right. If there were other candidates available, if you were available, Piers, you're not over 35 yet. But if you were an American citizen and over 35, I would take you.
Now, the one bit of credibility that Anthony Scaramucci has of anybody on Piers Morgan's panel here is that even though it was only a brief time, he was actually in the White House for Donald Trump. So he knows how awful Donald Trump is because he was there behind the scenes with him.
But I mean, you've only got 2 choices.
This is really why I wanted you on the program, because I knew that you would flatter me in a way that I would find irresistible. Emily Austin, so look, Kamala Harris was nobody's choice, even on the Democrat side, to be president of the United States 2 months ago. Suddenly, she's apparently the great, fresh, new thing, despite the fact that she's been Biden's vice president for nearly 4 years. How can she continue to execute this tripwire of pretending she's not responsible or accountable for everything that's gone on in this administration?
The answer is that she can't. You know, there's only so long you could portray this facade that you have everything figured out. But what I hope to see happen sooner than later, because the clock is ticking, is for the emotions to be removed from this election. Kamala could run her Ren and Stimpy, happy, happy, joy, joy campaign all she wants, which sounds strikingly similar to Hitler's strength through joy, but I'm not even going to get into that. But at some point, which will happen likely in this debate, is her policies have to be questioned. She can run on the...
That's a first that I've seen that comparison. That's pretty creative on her part, I would say. It's insane, but pretty creative.
Campaign. Trump is the policy president. He addresses it head on, whether it's easy or hard. Kamala can't even face the media. Her pre-taped lied to be what was a live interview on CNN. She couldn't even do it without her babysitter nearby. And she's an embarrassment to the country. And it's not because she's a woman, and it's not because she's a woman of color. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. And as a celebrity, she's quite entertaining. But presidentially, she would embarrass us on a global stage. She's embarrassing us domestically, and it would be disastrous. Everything he just said about Trump, I believe the same to Kamala Harris.
All right, Cenk Uygur, she's an embarrassing disaster. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing's been preposterous. Kamala Harris is a very standard, normal politician, and you guys are ignoring the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is that Donald Trump is a lunatic. So you guys are having this conversation. This normal politician, oh my God, she might not be good enough. Wow, she's running with joy. That sounds like Hitler. All these kind of loony things that you guys are all saying. When the other guy's a lunatic. He thinks we should terminate the Constitution. He thinks that all of our crowds are AI created images. He believes absolutely insane things, thought that his vice president deserved to be murdered by his supporters. And we're having a nonsense conversation about Kamala Harris running with joy being a bad thing.
I want to stop here for just a second before Cenk finishes what he has to say. And then we get into Vinny, what his, I'm sure, unhinged response is going to be. But a couple of things. Piers Morgan talks about how Donald Trump destroyed Biden. Well, Biden, destroyed himself in that debate. We're going to see here pretty soon how Donald Trump does against someone in Kamala Harris who isn't suffering from the kind of cognitive decline that Joe Biden has. We're going to see Donald Trump's cognitive decline when he debates Kamala Harris. So that's one thing. And then Emily Austin, when she talked about, well, Kamala Harris is, she's an interesting celebrity. You've got Donald Trump, the ultimate celebrity, as president. This guy was a reality show TV host, and she talks about how he's all about policy when all the guy does is call people names. And you have all of these Republican pundits as well as politicians like Nikki Haley who are begging Trump to not do personal attacks against Kamala Harris and attack her for being a woman and a race and all of this. And he can't do it because he doesn't care about the policies. He has no policies. The Republicans have no policies that appeal to normal Americans. And that's why Kamala Harris is ahead right now.
And guys, there's a lot of reasons that she does that. But one of the reasons is to juxtapose the hatred from the other side, which you guys are amply displaying. The other side's like, oh my God, everybody's the enemy. The immigrants are the enemy. The Democrats are the enemy. Oh, they're killing babies after they're born. All these lunatic talk. So go ahead, run your mouth about Kamala Harris. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump's still a lunatic, and the country doesn't want an unstable madman like that who doesn't even believe in America. He thinks we should terminate our Constitution. He had no problem trampling our democracy. I'm not letting that clown come in here and destroy this country.
All right, Vincent Oshana, he's a clown who'll destroy the country, an 800-pound gorilla. This is apparently these are the nice guys spreading joy.
Yeah,
well, you guys are super nice.
I have to say this, Piers. Emily, you kind of brushed over it, love, and I think you should have stayed on it. Emily's a Jewish girl, and she mentioned the strength through joy was 100% hijacked from the Nazis. It was in 1933. I have to read this, Emily. Hold on one second, guys.
Totally
I actually want to read this because Emily's right.
Total insanity.
They ripped a Nazi. Hold on, Cenk. I didn't interrupt you. The Nazi labor campaign of 1933, that's it. It was set up as a tool to promote the advantages of Nazism. So whoever's coming up with this joy campaign, they should do a little bit more research. And you know what? Instead of going Trump and talking bad about, I don't know Anthony, I know Cenk and I respect Cenk. We disagree politically, but let's talk about the actual State of the Union right now, Piers. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but an American Jewish hostage was murdered by Hamas. That just happened a couple days ago. And also, the Hells Angels are en route right now to Aurora, Colorado, to stop a Venezuelan brutal gang, and the gang is called Tren Aragua, because they've taken over apartment complexes. They're sex trafficking women. They're doing drugs. The FBI is not doing nothing. The mayor's not doing nothing. The governor's not doing anything. Why is all this happening? You know why? Because Joe Biden is on vacation. He's still on vacation. 40% of his administration. Kamala Harris is in a just going around with herself, with her support human being. Who's actually running the country right now? Everybody's worried about the future and Trump, and he's such a threat to democracy. Why did he do all that stuff in the 4 years that he was here? I'm genuinely curious. All this threat and all these problems. Name one thing that was, oh my God, a threat to democracy.
What was it? And what is Kamala going to do? I want Cenk to tell me. They want Vincent, Vinny, Oshana here, Cenk Uygur talks about Trump being a lunatic, and then we have this guy just going off with his angry patriot shirt on, and Vinny always looks like he's about to have a brain hemorrhage or something. I mean, you just think this guy's gonna just literally blow a gasket at any moment. But he's, as so many of these MAGA right-wingers do, particularly when they get on shows like Piers Morgan Uncensored, is to say, what has Donald Trump ever done that was a threat to democracy? And all Cenk Uygur has to say is January 6th.
What's one thing Kamala, people are going to vote for Kamala for? Anthony, just random. What are you going to vote for Kamala Harris for?
Vinny, you've asked lots of questions there. I would say clearly what happened personally on January the 6th was an attack on democracy. When a very large mob of people.
So at least Piers Morgan, he generally sides with Trump and the right wingers, even though he claims to not be a conservative. But at least Piers Morgan is telling the truth here.
Attack the Capitol and start calling for lawmakers to be hung because they're trying to reverse an election decision. That's an attack on democracy. You can spin it any way you like, but it is.
You guys are looking at it, it's like all of this foreign policy's emotional vibes in the room. And Kamala Harris walks in and are they like, oh my God, I'm intimidated, or oh, it's no big deal. And Trump walks in, they're like, oh my God, I fear him. No, it's about what you're willing to do, your actions, your policies, etc. So what does Kamala Harris have? Kamala Harris has the might of the administrative state and the U.S. military behind her, and they know she's stable and she represents the general American establishment. Now, a lot of people might say, hey, I don't love the establishment, etc., but it is a fearsome entity. And everybody knows that a normal president of the United States speaks on behalf of that entity, and they fear that entity. When Donald Trump walks in the room, they're like, oh, thank God, what a clown. Okay, so easy to manipulate him. Sure. Here, let's tell him we like him. Hey, Donnie, we like you. You think, oh, I like you. I'm going to write love letters to you.
And that's exactly what Putin did. He just told, he flattered Donald Trump, and he knew that would work. Because Trump is a sucker, and if somebody says they like him, then he falls for it. And that's all Putin had to do.
He said he was writing love letters to Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un built 6 nukes. What happened, tough guy? You let him build all those nukes, you did nothing about it because you're an idiot, so easily manipulated. You think Putin doesn't know that? They do a meeting, Trump comes out, he's like, Putin is right, not our intelligence, the U.S. sucks, Putin is right. That weak guy just cares about money. You know what he says about the Saudis? They give me $30-40 million for an apartment. Shouldn't I like them? Obviously corrupt, easily manipulated, a tiny mind. He's done nothing but encourage our enemies by being so weak and such an obvious narcissist. Do you know how easily I could play that guy if I'm in a room with him? You just go tweak here, tweak there, and he's discombobulated, right? And if you're not going to do it by flattery, which is the easiest thing in the world, you just get under his skin a little bit. Hey, your hair doesn't look good. Oh, what? I'm going to attack you. Come on, this guy's a fool. Look, all of you know it. All of you know it. That's why you're spending all your time about, oh, look at Kamala Harris.
I don't think Vinny Oshana knows it. I think this guy's a true believer because he just sees that with rage at Cenk Uygur saying these things.
Harris, she's a slightly normal politician. Ooh, that's so scary. Come on. Piers, you're going to ignore the fact that the other guy is totally unhinged and the easiest man in the world to manipulate?
No,
like
I think, listen, we've talked about Trump a lot. I've known, as Anthony and others, I've known Trump nearly 20 years. Right? I've spoken to him many times, interviewed him 40 times. I know Trump very, very well. Good, bad, and ugly. And I think he has equal measures of all three of those things. But I think that your characterization of him is it's cartoonesque. And in a way that plays into Trump. He is a
cartoon character.
Well, maybe, but it plays into Trump's hands when you over-demonize him. You know, when I hear the left in America just ranting away about Trump morning, noon, and night, I think you're playing him the wrong way.
Piers, he is that bad. He is that bad. He's an unhinged man. The only reason you don't think so is because you're so biased that you're like, oh, it's normal to terminate the Constitution or try to murder your vice president.
I want to come to Vinny.
That's not normal.
Hang on. I want to come to Vinny. What I want to say once again, Cenk, you shouldn't misconstrue the fact I've known Trump a long time and say I see the good, bad, and ugly in him. You should never misconstrue this for me saying that Americans should vote for him or that I would vote for him, any of those things. You seem incapable of assessing the stuff that comes out of my mouth in an accurate way. You want to portray me as a diehard MAGA Republican. I'm not. People in England listening to this would laugh their heads off. I was editor of the Daily Mirror newspaper for 10 years. Huh?
Did you see your intro? It was 99% negative against Kamala Harris.
Well, no, it actually wasn't.
Every time I come on here,
exactly my point.
Totally in favor of Donald Trump.
It wasn't, but you didn't listen properly because all you want to hear is Trump bashing. Let me bring in Vinny. Vinny, look, Trump has got a bit of a problem here. There's no doubt the dynamic of this race changed dramatically. I spoke to Trump the night before it changed, which was a week after he got shot. He saw me on Fox saying how it was extraordinary that he was back on stage at another rally, and we had a perfectly nice conversation. And I said to him, I reckon you've got this election sewn up now because of this assassination attempt. And he went, let me tell you, if I've learned one thing over the last 3 weeks, it's that 4 months is a very long time. Anything could happen. And the next day, Joe Biden quit the race, and all the momentum has been behind Kamala Harris and the Democrats ever since. And I've detected with Trump that he's really struggled to work out how to attack the new threat. What do you think?
Well, I mean, and Cenk made a good point. That establishment, the problem is the establishment and Donald Trump, and I don't care how angry, how much hate Anthony has for him, because, I mean, Anthony was fired, after 10 days, it sounds like a bitter ex-employee. Cenk has Trump derangement syndrome, whether you like it or not, brother. They hate him. What people like you don't tend to understand, Cenk, you know what people like you don't understand? Everybody is tired of that BS rhetoric. It's one man going against the establishment for us. And you know what, Piers? It's crazy. You mentioned the president of the ex-president of the United States was shot in the head, okay? And then after a week, nobody was talking about it. The legacy media, mainstream media, 98% of it is Trump is this evil man. And there is a problem, Piers, because people are brainwashed into thinking it's all Trump. Because people like me and Emily know, we're thinking even this is bigger than Trump, okay? This is us against that establishment, Cenk, and it's never going to go away.
So Vinny, this guy talks about Trump derangement syndrome. Vinny Oshana does. He's so deranged the other way in favor of Trump that it's just laughable. This idea that Donald Trump is fighting for, quote unquote, us, Donald Trump is fighting for himself. And everybody outside of MAGA, which is 30% of the country or whatever it is, that's too many people. It's sad that there are that many people that support Donald Trump. But the majority of Americans hate Donald Trump and can see right through this guy, that he's all about himself, as Cenk Uygur points out here on this panel of Cenk Uygur and right-wingers. I mean, I guess Anthony Scaramucci is a never-Trumper, but the other two definitely MAGA. And particularly Vinny just looks like a total nut job with his defense of Donald Trump. But what do you think? What do you think about this panel on Piers Morgan show? Do you think Cenk Uygur won this? I didn't show the entire thing because it's almost an hour long and I can only share clips here and there, but do you feel like Cenk Uygur got the best of this panel of Republicans and MAGA people on Piers Morgan show, including Piers Morgan? I think he swears he's not a conservative, but he seems to really like Donald Trump and really dislike the Democrats in the United States. But who do you think came out on top here? Make sure to leave me your comments about Piers Morgan and his panel with Cenk Uygur, or anything else you'd like to comment on. I'd love to see your comments. And this channel is growing really fast, and that's due to your comments, your likes, or subscribes.